Hello everyone, Matt Bills here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to chat about the concept of working for free. Is it ever okay? Should you never take any job that isn't paid? Are you missing out on key opportunities? There are differing philosophies around this topic in the world of photography, and I just want to preface this all by saying that, I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer most of the time. I would never try to dictate how another photographer runs their business, and I'm certainly not watching people's pockets, but I do want to share my thoughts based on my own experiences from the last decade, as this is, a topic that gets discussed fairly often among photographers that I know, especially those just starting out who often, reach out for advice. So let's start by going back to the early days of my photography. So we're talking about 10 years ago. So when I was first starting out, I obviously didn't have the body of work that I have now to promote my services. And really the only way you create that is by going out and shooting, putting in the work, as they say. Well, just because I bought a camera didn't mean that the business was going to automatically start coming my way, right? Remember I was Matt, the guy who wears suits and works in corporate America, not Matt, the photographer. So I went out and offered my services for free and, friends, family, acquaintances, and so on, so that I could gain some experience, learn how to use my camera, learn how to edit, and really begin to figure out who I was as a photographer. So sports, family photos, headshots, senior photos, I did it all for free during those first, 6 to 8 months of having a camera in my hands. And that experience proved to be invaluable. Full disclosure, I was also working a corporate job during the day, so making great money, and so doing free shoots during that time wasn't really a big deal financially. Some people jump into it 100% and some ease into it. And, again, there's really no right or wrong way. What I loved about this approach is that the expectations weren't very high. They knew they were getting a shoot for free from someone who was still learning. And, I know that might sound kind of weird, but, being able to simply be there to shoot and learn without someone paying you, it really kind of removes the pressure, and it allowed me to take my time and learn the craft. And as a result, I now had the beginnings of a portfolio that I could start promoting if and when I got to a point where I felt I was ready to do so. This early approach also allowed me to create valuable connections from several perspectives. First, the folks that I shot for early on for free eventually came back to actually hire me for paid gigs. And, did some still expect the work for free? Sure. But, those clients would eventually fade over time or realize that they needed to pay me like everyone else. Second, their friends and family would ask who took their photos, and they would get referred to me. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. Fast forward to today, over 95% of the work I do comes from either repeat clients or referrals. I don't pay for marketing. I just post my work on my various social media pages to advertise. And, for me, when your work and reputation as a professional are the things driving your business, I think you've really found a good spot. Now, maybe you're in a similar position that I'm in today, where you do photography full time, you have thousands of paid shoots under your belt, and you make a great living doing it. Should the concept of free work ever be considered when, frankly, you don't really need to do unpaid work? For me, it's pretty rare, but there are instances where I just simply want to shoot something for the experience. Maybe it's something I've never shot before, and I think it would be a great challenge, or maybe I have some new gear, which happens all the time, and I want to test it out, or maybe it's just something I genuinely enjoy shooting, and I happen to have some time on my schedule that day. Money is important and it will always be important, but I do think it's a healthy practice to remind yourself why you enjoy photography, in the first place. There's a saying, being able to see the forest through the trees, which essentially means being able to see the big picture. And I've personally seen a number of people in their respective fields squander massive opportunities due to being unable to see the opportunity that was in front of them. For example, a big event that already has their paid media team in place, but there is a chance for you to get a media pass if you wanted to be there, take photos, more for fun, and maybe, make some great connections, but you refuse because it's not a paid gig. Could this have materialized into something bigger, something lucrative? Well, you'll never know. Another great example of this is the work that I do for a university in my area, Bellevue University, which is where I went to college. This was back at the very end of 2020, so about 4 years after I finished grad school. And I wanted to expand my sports photography experience, so I reached out to the assistant athletic director and head volleyball coach and just asked if I could come shoot a game or two. No charge, just for fun. I would send them all the photos for free for letting me come out. Well, within a few months, I was out shooting almost all of their sports, and eventually, the school said, "Hey, we love your work, and you've been coming out to all the games. The student athletes really like you and are comfortable around you. How about we discuss, making this a more formal relationship? So in other words, let's get a contract in place and pay you." Now it's 2025, and for the last several years, I have had a recurring contract with the school to shoot all of their media days, all of their sports, and that's expanded into several other projects with the school's marketing team and other departments. It's a great lesson that if you approach a situation with, a genuine interest, not just to learn and improve, but to also be of value, there's a good chance that it can turn into something bigger or lucrative in the future. Not to mention, a huge part of why I was hired to be one of the team photographers for the professional volleyball team, the Omaha Supernovas, is because I had a large body of work from shooting for Bellevue University, much of which was volleyball. See how that works? The other type of free work is the work you do for yourself, passion projects. I think having passion projects is really important. I'll be the first to admit that sometimes it's very difficult to find the time to do passion projects, especially when your schedule is filled with paying jobs. I get it. You have to do what you have to do. But if you haven't already, think of a passion project that you can work on here and there, that helps, kind of keep the creative fire burning. And, I have found that these projects really remind me why I love to do what I do. And they allow me to kind of try new ideas, new techniques, test out new gear, and so on. Again, I can't express enough my belief that any person or company, big or small, who approaches you for your services should be doing so with the intention to pay you for your work. I know it's sometimes difficult to discuss this entire subject without kind of contradicting myself a bit, but I hope my point is getting across. The last thing I want to discuss is the idea of exposure. If you're in the creative business, I can almost guarantee that someone has reached out and offered to trade your services for exposure. In other words, you do the work for free and gain exposure because the person or company is using your work and they'll give you credit, shout you out on their social media, tag you, whatever. First, if you're reaching out to an artist and offering exposure instead of payment, please think hard whether or not you really have the following or the brand recognition to warrant such an offer. I'm not kidding that over 90% of the people or brands who reach out with this type of arrangement do not have the reach they claim to have. It's pretty easy to verify. Look at their socials, look at their websites, read their reviews if they have any. How many followers do they have? Is anyone actually engaging with them on their posts? Hell, I've had people offer exposure instead of payment who have less followers than me. And I don't even have that many followers. Like, come on, guys. On the flip side, I've been contacted by people with large followings, recognizable brands that you've all heard of, highly engaged audiences. But guess what? Even though they can offer some pretty notable exposure in exchange for the work, 99% of those individuals, so legit people who are serious about whatever it is they do, they don't ask for free work. All right, my friends, to summarize, know your worth. Don't take on free work unless you see some sort of value in doing so. Always do your best to see the forest through the trees, and remember that you don't want people in your orbit who are always going to try and get free work out of you, especially if you're established in the business. One thing I can almost guarantee you is that the people who continuously try to get free work out of you with nothing in return do eventually fade away. They don't always go away completely, but they learned very quickly that what you do actually takes talent and time, and you aren't just going to always give it away for free. So they will naturally go somewhere else. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Hit the thumbs up. And of course, if you are so inclined, please subscribe. It's free and it helps grow the reach of this channel. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks.